My name is Fan Chang. I promise I'll never bypass the firewall again. Here's what happened. Hello. Log in. I'll take you to the international server. Let's play against foreigners. How do I access the international server? Just download the Little Rock VPN. Hello, this is the security department. We detected that your soldier, Fan Chan, has engaged in unauthorized internet bypassing. Please send someone to investigate immediately.
The Chinese Communist Party's military, through the official TikTok account of the Zhengzhou Joint Logistics Support Center, released a short video about the illegality of bypassing internet restrictions, commonly referred to in China as jumping the firewall. The video, however, sparked online backlash because it included detailed steps on how to bypass the restrictions and which software to download. Netizens mocked it, asking whether it was meant to educate people about the law or serve as a tutorial. On December 23, 2024, the CCP's military newspaper published an article about managing grassroots soldiers, criticizing lax discipline and addressing violations related to bypassing the firewall. It commented that this article inadvertently revealed how common the practice has become within the military. Soldiers eagerly consuming uncensored information from outside the firewall could significantly impact the army's cohesion. The CCP has maintained its so-called Great Firewall since 1998, restricting access to foreign internet content and preventing Chinese citizens from accessing free information from abroad. Comparisons are often drawn between modern Chinese internet users bypassing the firewall and East Germans scaling the Berlin Wall in pursuit of freedom. According to Reporters Without Borders, China ranked 172nd out of 180 countries in the 2024 World Press Freedom Index, indicating an extremely dire situation for press freedom. Many Chinese use VPNs or other software to bypass the firewall, even though the CCP prohibits such actions. With China's worsening economic conditions, local police departments have been eager to impose fines or penalties for such activities, making the risks higher than before. A TikTok video humorously highlighted the consequences of using VPNs. Using a VPN to bypass the firewall is illegal. The maximum fine could be as high as 15,000 yuan. In the worst-case scenario, you could end up sewing in prison. But lots of people bypass the firewall and nothing happens to them. True, most people around you don't get caught, but keep in mind the police might be quietly noting it down. But if you're just browsing gossip or looking up study materials, they might let you off with a warning or ask you to write a statement promising not to do it again. But if you repeatedly bypass the firewall and post sensitive or inappropriate comments, you need to be careful. For example, celebrities and large export companies apply for dedicated lines from major telecom providers, which are fully compliant with regulations.
Because I bypassed the firewall, the police planned to punish me. When I got back tonight, they told me to go get my phone and pay a 15,000 yuan fine tomorrow morning.
A blogger commented, "Fines? How could there be fines? You mentioned that I kept laughing earlier, and it's because just a few days ago, a young woman working for me ran into the exact same situation as you." The blogger speculated that the police may have imposed the highest possible fine on the netizen involved, adding that such actions would naturally disgust people. Interestingly, even Chinese lawyers have stated that bypassing the firewall is legal. 2 years ago, a lawyer named He shared his opinion, arguing that using VPN software to bypass the firewall in China is actually legal. He also claimed that the CCP establishment of the firewall itself is in fact a violation of the law.
People always say that bypassing the firewall is illegal, but have you ever considered the question, is the firewall itself legal? I, lawyer He, can say with absolute certainty that as of today, the firewall is illegal.
Lawyer He explained that while China's Great Firewall has long been in place to block citizens from accessing foreign websites, its existence does not make it legal. He pointed out that the CCP does not officially acknowledge the firewall's presence, either domestically or internationally. Furthermore, no Chinese law explicitly mentions the firewall. Despite this, it operates openly, restricting citizens from accessing foreign websites. He elaborated that regardless of the technical methods used to implement the firewall, it essentially amounts to cyber attacks on citizens within China and foreign internet companies. These methods include, but are not limited to, DNS poisoning, BGP root hacking, root blackholing, and TCP interference. To sustain the firewall, authorities conduct 24/7 real-time monitoring of all outgoing internet activity, suspecting data packets without users' consent, matching keywords, and increasingly employing AI and machine learning to block circumvention attempts. Lawyer He asserted that the creation, maintenance, and operation of the firewall are all illegal. Under current criminal law, those involved in maintaining the firewall could be held criminally liable for sabotaging computer information systems, a charge reserved for severe consequences. However, no one has been held accountable. He humorously questioned the paradox of punishing individuals for bypassing something that officially doesn't exist. He added that technically, the firewall itself is attacking users, so using software to defend against these attacks should not be considered illegal. Many Chinese netizens cited Lawyer He's arguments as justification for believing that using VPNs to bypass the firewall was not illegal. However, that was back in 2023. Since then, the CCP has revised its legislation on this issue. On September 30th, 2024, the CCP announced the regulations on the management of network data security, which took effect on January 1st, 2025. Article 39 of the regulation states that the state will take measures to prevent and address cross-border data security risks and threats. It also prohibits any individual or organization from providing programs or tools specifically designed to disrupt or bypass technical measures. Additionally, knowingly assisting others in bypassing such measures is also prohibited. Despite this, some Chinese lawyers have interpreted the new law to mean that individual use of VPNs to bypass the firewall remains legal.
This provision provides a relatively clear legal basis for firewalls. Furthermore, it states that no individual or organization may provide programs or tools specifically designed to bypass or disable technical measures. If someone is aware that others are engaging in such activities, they must not offer technical support or assistance. A careful reading of this provision reveals that, for personal use, the law does not explicitly classify the use of programs or tools designed to bypass technical measures as illegal. Therefore, the conclusion is as follows. Based on the above regulations, selling firewall bypassing tools, assisting in bypassing firewalls, or offering technical support for such activities is illegal. However, if an individual uses these tools for personal purposes without sharing them with others or engaging in other illegal activities, the act itself is not illegal.
Chinese affairs expert Yue Shan remarked that the video in question has been entirely removed from the internet. In China, even videos from lawyers educating the public about legal rights can be censored, leaving ordinary citizens with no platform to voice their concerns. Yue criticized China's legal system as one that disregards human rights and serves only the CCP elites, emphasizing that China is not a rule of law country. He described the regulations on the management of network data security as an unjust law. In reality, even before this regulation, many individuals in China had already faced penalties for bypassing the firewall. Starting around 2019, punishments for such actions became more frequent. Data from the Zhejiang Provincial Government Services Network show that as of September 4th, 2020, there were 58 cases of administrative punishment for unauthorized establishment or use of illegal channels for intentional internet access. Among these, one case involved a company, while the remaining 57 involved individuals. In 2019, 11 such cases were recorded, 6 against companies and 5 against individuals. In September 2018, there was 1 penalty against a company. For example, on January 5, 2019, Guangdong's Public Security Enforcement Information Platform reported that a man was fined 1,000 yuan for bypassing the firewall to access foreign websites. There is extensive evidence showing that in recent years, many individuals have been convicted or sentenced for posting, sharing, liking, tweeting or commenting on overseas platforms like Twitter. Even those who simply access these sites without posting content have been subject to administrative penalties across the country. Some fines have been shockingly excessive. On September 24, 2023, a programmer from Chengde City, Hebei, revealed that he was fined over 1 million yuan for using a VPN. Criminal law professor Lao Dongyan from Tsinghua University, speaking from Canada, said that local governments benefit from a percentage of fines, leading to arbitrary penalties and cases pursued for financial gain. However, in China, individuals struggle to protect their legal rights. Recently, lawyer Pan He-xian, an expert in digital economy law, made two statements at the end of a video program that resonated with many viewers and earned widespread praise online.
法律本身并没有限制老百姓的权利。
Actually, in many cases, the law itself doesn't restrict the rights of the common people. It's just that incorrect enforcement limits our rights. I ask you, should bypassing the firewall really be illegal? What's wrong with wanting to see the world outside? Why should we live in a Truman Show-like world?
Some netizens remarked, "It's because of your last two sentences that I must follow you." The CCP prohibits citizens from bypassing the firewall to access foreign websites or for using overseas social platforms like X. However, CCP diplomats and propaganda officials enjoy special privileges. For example, Hu Xijin, the former editor-in-chief of the state-run Global Times, frequently bypasses the firewall to post on X without facing any consequences. Since the pandemic, foreign tourists to China have noticeably decreased. In response, the CCP has relaxed visa restrictions for foreigners. Yet, one of the main inconveniences foreigners face in China is having to bypass the Great Firewall for internet access. As a result, China actively provides privileges for foreigners, including legal access to bypass the firewall. It's well known that ordinary Chinese citizens are told bypassing the firewall is prohibited. However, if you're a foreigner in China, doing so is perfectly legal. The privilege also extends to Taiwanese visitors, who are treated as foreigners in this context. For example, Taiwanese influencer Ah Yue recently purchased a SIM card at a service desk in Shanghai Airport. The staff kindly helped him download a VPN app and explained, "We Chinese citizens are not allowed to bypass the firewall. It's illegal for us, but for the convenience of foreign travelers, it's legal for foreigners to do so." The staff even claimed they had never bypassed the firewall themselves. From such explanations, it's evident that this policy likely comes from official directives. Ironically, while the CCP repeatedly claims that Taiwan is a province of China, Taiwan is treated as a foreign country in such services. Back in 2001, during Beijing's bid to host the 2008 Olympics, the Chinese government made several international promises, including improving human rights, internet freedom, and press freedom. However, in late July 2008, as foreign journalists arrived in Beijing, they found they couldn't access certain sensitive websites from the main media center. According to the South China Morning Post at the time, websites discussing Amnesty International, Tibet, Falun Gong, or the Tiananmen Square incident were all inaccessible. Following public outcry, International Olympic Committee officials announced that they had reached an agreement with Chinese authorities, claiming the issue had been resolved. But just a day later, Beijing Olympics spokesperson Sun Weide stated that foreign journalists might still encounter barriers to accessing a small number of websites during the Games. The stark contrast between privileges granted to foreigners and restrictions imposed on Chinese citizens has long been a source of frustration and anger among the public. For instance, on June 21, 2018, the government of Hainan Province, which was become an international free trade zone, announced a plan to provide foreign visitors with non-registered internet accounts to access platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. This plan triggered tens of thousands of outraged comments on Chinese social media, but those remarks were swiftly deleted. 2 days later, the Hainan government quietly removed the plan from its official website. Despite granting such privileges, the CCP remains distrustful of foreigners. Before the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, the CCP promised to relax the Great Firewall for foreign athletes and media. According to the IOC, accredited participants will be able to access open internet services via wired or wireless optical transmission networks, using their own devices. This access was provided when participants purchased special Olympic SIM cards under the Beijing 2022 pricing framework. Cybersecurity expert Zhang Xiaogang noted that while the CCP might loosen internet restrictions slightly in certain areas, such as the Olympic Village, Athletes and foreign journalists are still subject to tight surveillance. The CCP employs one of the world's most advanced digital surveillance systems, relying on technology provided by military, state-owned, and private tech firms. This surveillance extends to foreign individuals as well. Commentator Zhao Pei warned that many VPNs available to foreigners are simply traps set by the CCP. Additionally, domestically produced tech products such as smartphones come with built-in monitoring systems that automatically block attempts to bypass the firewall. Controversial Chinese high-tech giant Huawei exemplifies this trend. Early versions of Huawei's Harmony OS were compatible with Android, but the new standalone Harmony OS adopts a closed strategy, aiming to eliminate reliance on U.S. technology. This shift further deepens the divide in global software and hardware standards, a division that began over 20 years ago with Beijing's initial construction of the Great Firewall. Huawei phones have increasingly become tools for CCP surveillance. In June 2021, a Chinese user reported that after upgrading to Harmony OS 2.0, the system could detect and flag apps used to bypass the firewall, prompting immediate police warnings to delete them. Silicon Valley communications engineer Zheng Shan explained that Huawei's Harmony OS is inherently a surveillance tool. It analyzes data traffic directly and has pre-installed monitoring capabilities, enabling preemptive censorship without needing an internet connection. In China, individuals who assist others in bypassing the firewall are met with harsh punishment. For example, well-known blogger Programming Thoughts was sentenced to 7 years in 2023 for inciting subversion of state power, after years of teaching people how to bypass the firewall. Similarly, Chao Xin-xin, who advocated for the dismantling of the Great Wall from abroad, was apprehended by Chinese authorities in Laos in 2023. Despite these crackdowns, Chinese citizens remain eager to access the outside world. Over the years, bypassing the firewall has brought significant changes to China. A recent report by the international human rights organization Safeguard Defenders highlighted a surge in Chinese asylum seekers. According to data from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the number of Chinese people seeking asylum has grown at record rates under rule. In 2022 alone, the number matched the total from Hu Jintao's entire decade in power. Cumulatively, over 1 million Chinese have sought asylum since she came to power, with the U.S. being the primary destination. Analysts compare this mass exodus to the period before the collapse of the Soviet Union, describing it as people voting with their feet. In recent years, many Chinese citizens who fled to the U.S. have openly shared their experiences with overseas media. They often credit firewall tools for exposing them to truthful information that changed their worldview. One such individual, Yuan Xuebao, admitted that he was once a staunch CCP supporter. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he used a circumvention tool called UltraSurf to access uncensored information, which transformed him from a staunch CCP nationalist to a furious dissident. Constitutional scholar Cheng Yongmiao observed that initially, bypassing the firewall served as a form of enlightenment, exposing Chinese citizens to information unavailable domestically. Over decades of internet development, domestic political conflicts and personal interests have further shaped political stances among the populace. Even in the CCP's tightly controlled military, it's now common for soldiers to bypass the firewall and access foreign websites in private. CCP leader Xi Jinping has repeatedly warned, if we fail to control the internet, we will fail to maintain long-term governance. On the YouTube channel China Insider, host Yu Tong remarked that when bypassing the Great Firewall becomes widespread even within the military, the CCP will not only struggle to maintain long-term governance, but may also fail to hold onto power in the short term. Under the intense pressure of the ongoing purges within the military, even a small spark could ignite overwhelming resentments among the ranks, potentially triggering a massive chain reaction at any moment.